Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very first chapter of Conceptual Physics. I'm Mrs. Pound. The first chapter is about science, and I will be teaching from the third edition of Conceptual Physics by Paul G. Hewitt. Now, if you're one of my students, you should have your notes out and be following along and taking notes as you watch the videos. And remember, at the end, there's space on the left side of your sheet of paper. That space is for writing 5 questions that you think I might ask on the test based on this material. Reviewing those questions every day will help you to study for the test. If you study in small chunks as opposed to just the night before the test, you will do better because you will remember more of the information. If you're not in my class, maybe you're a homeschooler or a teacher who is using these videos, I have my notes available in Teachers Pay Teachers for you to purchase, and I hope that these videos help you. Now remember, this is the third edition of Conceptual Physics, so this is a very old version. It may be helpful or not. I know that they're up to the 12th edition. So let's get started. So our objective today is to explain why physics is the basic science. So section 1.1 in your book is about the basic science physics. And so physics is the most basic science because number one, you can better understand science in general if you understand physics. To really understand science, and a lot of people think physics is the hardest science, it's the most complex. It's actually the simplest science, and you have to have an understanding of it in order to understand the other sciences better. Number two, the ideas of physics extend into more complex, complicated sciences. As I said, everybody thinks physics is the most complicated. It actually is not. Chemistry and biology are more complicated than physics. And number three, underneath biology is chemistry, and underneath chemistry is physics. Physics is the study of the interactions of matter. It studies forces, it studies motion, it studies heat. We study the basic components of the atom. And chemistry is the interaction of matter. So in chemistry, it's how matter is put together using those forces. And in physics, we also study energy and how energy is involved in that. And biology is the study of matter that is living. So that's even more complex. And so I have this diagram that illustrates that concept that physics is at the bottom because it is underneath all of those other sciences. Now, section 1.2 is about mathematics, the language of science. Math is used because it is unambiguous and makes findings easier to verify or disprove. Verify means to show that it's true, that something is true. And so that math that you learn in math class, well, it's used a lot in science, but don't let that scare you about physics, conceptual physics, because our class will focus on the basic ideas and concepts of physics in English. We may use equations occasionally, but it's not going to be the focus of this course like it is in many other physics courses. Equations will be used to guide our thinking because they point out key relationships. As I said, we're going to be learning how to think about physics more as opposed to plugging numbers in equations, which is where a lot of people get stuck with physics. So I hope that alleviates some of your fears of physics. So, our objective today was to explain why physics is the basic science, and basically, it's because it helps us to better understand chemistry and biology and the more complex sciences. Now, if you're one of my students, make sure that your notes are complete. If you have to go back in the video, you can go back. And make sure you have your 5 questions written down in your margin.